There's a new winger at Real Madrid. He's 19 years old. He's just cost him around 125 million euros, guaranteed, potentially rising to 140 million. And depending on what corner of social media you're on, you might have already seen people calling him the Black Gareth Bale. That player is Yan Diomande. And listen, the Bale comparison is obviously very early. But when you actually watch Diomande, you can at least understand where people are coming from. Long strides, explosive acceleration, power, direct running, and the ability to pick the ball up and basically say, I'm going through you. But why have Real Madrid decided on Diomande as their answer? Because this club could technically get anyone they want. And they've just made the biggest investment in their history on a teenager who less than 2 years ago, most football fans never even heard of. Diomande's rise doesn't really make sense when you look at how quickly it's happened. He was born in Ivory Coast and moved to America as a teenager. His former coach, Todd Eason, says he initially struggled with homesickness.
And he was quiet. He was very quiet at the time, very, unsure. I wouldn't say scared, but first time away from home.
Eventually developed into arguably the most talented player he'd ever worked with. Then comes Spain, Legiones, and then this is where the story gets crazy. Because Diomande's first team debut was actually against Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabéu. He was only on the pitch for around 10 minutes, but immediately showed what kind of player he was. He nearly scored, he threatened to win a penalty. He was clocked at roughly 33 kilometers per hour. Imagine that. You're basically an unknown teenager and you get thrown on at the Bernabéu, and 18 months later, Real Madrid are paying over 100 million for you. That short appearance was basically a trailer, because RB Leipzig, when they took him to Germany, that's where everything exploded. Last season, Diomande produced around 13 goals and 10 assists in all competitions for Leipzig. He was named Bundesliga Rookie of the Season, and then he took that momentum onto international stage with Ivory Coast. But Madrid aren't paying 125 million euros just because he had one good season. They're betting on the profile, because Diomande gives you something that has become surprisingly difficult to find nowadays, especially at this highest level. A winger who generally wants to beat defenders. He's extremely quick, he's powerful enough to survive contact, he's comfortable using both feet, he can play on both sides, even through the middle. And statistically, his dribbling numbers have already been almost the best in Europe, which is crazy if you think about it. Reports in Spain highlight that he was among the leading successful dribblers across Europe's top 5 leagues last season, even ahead of Vinicius in that area. And he works backwards as well. That's important under Jose Mourinho. Madrid aren't just buying someone to stand on the touchline doing stepovers. They're buying someone who can attack space, press, cover the ball, and then turn defense into attack almost instantly. That's probably where Gareth Bale comparison comes into it. Not because Diomande is Bale, obviously. He's nowhere near him. But the physique, the profile, the frightening combination of speed and power, give him 40 yards of grass and he's gone, and defenders suddenly have a problem. Diomande has actually admitted something pretty interesting. He prefers playing on the left. Talking about his career debut against Madrid, he explained that he initially played from the right and didn't really enjoy it. And then he moved over to the left and suddenly he felt comfortable, which is almost hilarious when you look at Real Madrid's squad. They've already got Vinicius, they've got Mbappe, capable of drifting into those areas. And now you've spent potentially 140 million euros on another devastating player who enjoys attacking from that same side. So I guess Mourinho is going to have to figure this out. Diomande can play from right, but whenever Madrid eventually develop him into a genuine right-sided weapon, could be the biggest tactical stories of their season. And then there's probably the funniest conversation surrounding Diomande, his age. Diomande is 19, but the internet basically looked at this guy and gone, yeah, we're going to need to see some paperwork. There have been posts joking about that he looks 29. Some people have gone even further and said early 30s. And old pictures of Diomande have started getting dragged around social media with people trying to create conspiracy theories about his age. There is currently no credible evidence that Diomande is lying about his age. In fact, at least one viral claim about an old photograph was easily challenged because people claimed the picture was from 2014, while Diomande was wearing a Chelsea shirt from the 2020 to 21 season. So yes, the memes are funny. He definitely has one of those faces where you hear 19 and look twice, but that's basically where the story ends. He's 19, and if anything, That's what makes Madrid's gamble even crazier. Diomande made his Real Madrid debut in the 3-0 friendly against Schalke. He came into the game during the second half and played roughly a half an hour. It wasn't one of those debuts where he came and immediately scored 2 goals and nutmegged 3 people, rainbow flicks. He actually looked like someone still finding his feet, still getting physically ready, which makes sense because illness had disrupted his preparation, but there were still interesting signs at least. Mourinho used him from the right. He reportedly made 5 recoveries, competed well physically and showed his defensive commitment. And there was one moment where he found Vinicius with a dangerous pass that nearly resulted in a penalty situation. So even without the explosive attack, he can still provide. He actually contributes when Madrid don't have the ball. And Madrid fans seem split between 2 emotions right now: excitement and disbelief at the price. Some supporters are basically saying we finally have another explosive winger. Others are asking a fair question. How are we paying 125 million euros for someone who had barely begun his professional career 18 months ago? One Madrid fan discussion basically summed it up perfectly. People were excited about his speed, dribbling, shooting and work rate, but others were asking, can a 19-year-old handle this price tag at Real Madrid? And that is the real question, because Diomande isn't arriving like Vinicius did. Vinicius arrived as an incredibly talented teenager who Madrid could slowly develop and slowly bring into the team. I wouldn't judge Diomande purely on goals straight away. Watch the other things. Watch how often he isolates a fullback. Watch how quickly Madrid get going once he's on the ball. The transitions, winning possession. Watch positions Mourinho uses him in. Watch whether he can translate that fearless dribbling into consistent end product. Because that's the part really, that's what we need to look at. The scary thing is, he's already producing goals and assists right now, while still being incredibly raw. His former manager, Jimenez, believes he's the type of player who can get the Bernabéu out of their seats from day one. And his former coach, Todd Eason, has gone even further. He believes we still haven't seen the best of Diomande, and he's capable of doing so much more. That's actually kind of frightening when Madrid have just paid this much money. Madrid haven't bought the finished product, and that must be scary for Madrid fans. They've basically paid superstar money for what they believe he could become. So forget the memes about his age for a second, forget the price tag, maybe even forget the Black Gareth Bale comparisons, because if Real Madrid have got this one right, they might have just bought one of the most terrifying wingers of the next decade. And Yan Diomande is 19 years old, apparently. And his Real Madrid story is only just beginning.